I'm Malcolm Van Delst, and this is an excerpt from Shiny Pretty Gothic, book 3 in the Do the Wrong Thing series. Previously, in Shiny Pretty Gothic, Ava met Emmett's glamorous friend Faith, reconnected with Emmett when Wally asked her to be in a fashion show, and met a nerdy guy named Matt. This is the second time through this book. There are edits as I prep books for publishing. I'm not writing new material. This is chapter 7, called Gang of Four. I know this part should be in dialogue, but I'm too sad to write it that way. I mean, when you act a part, you take on the characteristics of the person you're playing. You may leave the person behind when you leave the play or rehearsal, but being someone all day will lodge at least part of them in you. That's why actors are annoying and shallow. They're filled with little bits of other people. They're like TV shows intercut with shitty commercials, and they can't focus on who they really are. They've lost it, really, who they are. They've lost that or broken it. All these other personalities mix in their me. They end up silly, vain, and volatile. It's the same with a writer, to a lesser extent. I'm sad, lost, and unfocused. Do you know why people become unfocused? Because sadness dwells at their cores. The sadness they grew up with and marinated in. They're too busy worrying about their parents, sisters, brothers, or whoever. What to eat, how to pay rent, whether their dad is going to leave or their mom kill herself. Of course they can't focus. There's something else. If I keep typing, it'll come. Oh, yes. Life is cyclical. While I'm transliterating this time in my life, I'm reliving it to an extent, yes. But every time I'm a 9, 29, 39, 49, I decide to go back to school. My partner pointed it out, so at 49, I did not go back to school. I started working less and writing. Save your $4,000, he said. Write. I go through cycles, maybe loosely aligned with the 7-year itch, but as I get older, the cycles become less high and less low, or no, that's right. I'd like to think the cycles go up, that I've nudged up my base mood with good living and good decisions. Yeah, I have. Lastly, my special sauce, me, yes, I'm going to go with that disgusting phrase, might not want to write this part of the story. I may not be sad as I type so much as pulling back from where we're going because I'm going to get more lost. I suppose I could force my way through or gird myself with comedy. I'm not a good comedian, though. People laugh when I'm trying to be serious and stare at me straight-faced when I try to be funny. There's no rhyme or reason to humor, not as far as I can see. One more thing. It's not a fashion show that Wally's organizing, it's a hair show. Okay, I'll write it in dialogue. I don't know what to do, Wally says as we sit in his kitchen. I want to use Joni Mitchell music for the hair show, nothing but Joni Mitchell. But Joanne wants Joy Division, Gang of Four, you know. Well, it's your show, I say. I want to end with the guys lifting you up, both sides now playing, your hair huge and fabulous, a flowing gown of some sort, all light. He grabs a cigarette and sparks it. I'm dying. I try to remain calm, not show how excited I am, because if people see that you want a thing, they'll snatch it back. I am discovered. It's happening. I'm going to be honored and feted, and then I don't know what then. I compose my face. I can't push for Wally to use Joni Mitchell and me anyway, because it's unseemly for a woman. Women need to be recognized from the outside, from those around them. I can't push. Oh, God. Do I want to be lifted up, a white gown pulling away from me in a huge triangle with a 12-foot base at the bottom? Hair pushing out from my head in a magnificent halo as I stare up into space, smiling, ascending, triumphant. No, women are not triumphant, benevolent, lifted by Pierre Lance, Emmett. Oh my God, Emmett, benevolently. Joanne wants it to be all darkness and pain, Wally whines, with some story about her being beaten up, then coming back victorious at the end. Victorious, but damaged. Damaged, damaged, damaged. That's all she cares about. She wants me to highlight her eyes. Wally makes a movement with one finger around one eye. It's true. Joanne has naturally deep-set eyes with dark rings under them. I think you should do what you want, I say, words leaving my mouth and dropping, bouncing off the kitchen table and my leg before landing in a damaged pile on the floor. If you like Joni Mitchell, use Joni Mitchell. I can't champion myself. It's against everything I've been taught. It's against everything my ancestors have been taught. Suzelle, Marcella, Emmett, and everyone else will line up against Wally and I. They love Joy Division and Gang of Four. They'll side with Joanne. Joni Mitchell is old, they'll say. She's not in fashion. They'll be right. Joanne wins. She, Suzelle, Marcella, and the rest descend like vultures and rip the guts out of Sun, Light, Joni Mitchell, and the starring role I'd have had in Wally's hair show. The starring role I'd have had without doing anything. The role that was made for me. Seriously? Joni Mitchell? Marcella makes a face. Wally pouts. I love Joni Mitchell. He takes a long, petulant drag on his smoke. No one's going to come, Joanne says. Wally looks worried as he stares into the half distance, one arm across his torso and the other holding up his smoke. A week before the show, I go to Wally's salon so he can figure out what he's going to do with me. He puts me in a chair and twirls my hair around his fingers as he looks in the mirror. I think I should leave you natural, he says. He pushes his hands into my hair and lifts it up. Poof up your curls, pull them all to one side and clip into place. Perfect. You'll wear that white swirly mini dress, right? I nod, reach down and pull a container of silver spray-on hair color from my bag. He wants me to wear the green platforms I wore to the unfashionable tourist bar, which is where the hair show was taking place. That's why we went there, and that's why it looked familiar when we met there in the afternoon later. Spray-painted silver. Fabulous, he says. It won't ruin your shoes. It washes off easily. The bar is packed. Everyone's screaming and cheering. Johnny, this Boy George-styled guy with long brown hair and black lipstick, throws rose petals as I walk down a makeshift catwalk. He cheers louder than anyone. I strut as best I can on my platforms, smiling in what I hope is a seductive way. I hold a white rose in one hand, Wally's idea, and a cigarette in the ivory cigarette holder I bought in the village in the other, my idea. At the riser at the back of the club, I improvise, lying down, leaning on one elbow, and posing with one knee up. The crowd screams even louder. Johnny grabs his face and shakes his head in a sort of ecstasy. Pierre, who is standing behind me, leans over and tries to close my legs. You're pussy, he whispers. He has trouble with the English word. I smile wider and ignore him, annoyed that he's intruding on my moment. It's true that I'm not wearing underwear, and that with my mini dress, it's too late now, though. No one minds. If anything, they're cheering louder. Isn't this, my pussy, what it's all about anyway? All the makeup and revealing clothes? I smile widely, the frenzied audience. No one will know this wasn't deliberate. Still in my mini dress and platforms, buzzing with adrenaline, I stand with Wally after the show. You should have heard Matt when you were on the runway, Wally grins, puffing on his smoke. She's beautiful, Matt whispered to me. Maybe if you're a pedophile, I told him. She looks 12. Wally howls. You should have seen his face. I smile, but my heart pounds. Matt thinks I'm beautiful. Wally thinks I look 12. You should model, Pierre says over morning coffee. I nod. I'm not attractive, but people say I look young, which is all that matters. I'm broke. The only job I can do well is art modeling. Maybe I can do the other kind. Pierre snaps photos of me in our dining room as I tilt my head so my hair falls away in waves. I wear long, black satin evening gloves for sophisticated elegance. But I still look scared and sad. I see this in the pictures later. At an agency run out of an apartment, a fat, older man gets down on one knee and pleads for me to join his team. His friend will do my headshots for a good price. Beth's and Pierre's crowd is not mine. It's not crystal clear, only a vague feeling. I drift. I go with whatever, and it's the people that drift away from me, not vice versa. I'm a soppy dish rag, a limp noodle. Shit. Drifter or soppy dish rag noodle. I'm a soppy dish rag noodle, throwing myself in conversations and groups of people. They think ew and leave, but do it kindly, making excuses and drifting away. This is not really working. A snow peak with icy wind blowing over it. That's what I am, disintegrating, pushed along. I don't blame people for leaving. I'd do it too if I could. I'd leave myself. Pierre thinks out loud as he walks naked from his room at the front of the apartment to the dining room where I sit. Why do English have so many funny expressions? He says. They don't make sense. Like, here he spaces the words out, as if he's looking at each separately in his mind's eye. Beat around the bush. I laugh as a disembodied, old-fashioned broom beating around a small shrub appears in my mind. English, I realize, is weird and nonsensical. I assume Pierre isn't thinking about women's bushes, but the hair show was less than 2 weeks ago. Who knows?